Last Christmas, something felt different. The music was playing, the lights were glowing, and all of us were gathered around the tree. But Grandma Rose didn't get up to dance. Not even when her favorite song came on, rocking around the Christmas tree. She just smiled and said softly, "My legs ain't what they used to be, honey." I didn't think much of it. We all slow down with age, right? But that night, I heard a sharp cry from her room. I ran in and found her clutching her leg, her face twisted in pain. Another leg cramp, the kind that wakes you from sleep and leaves you aching the next day. That was our wake-up call. We always thought cramps were just part of getting older, but they're not always. What really shocked me was learning that certain foods, or the lack of them, could be triggering these painful spasms. In fact, studies show that low levels of potassium, magnesium, and calcium are linked to increased nighttime cramps in older adults. And the right foods can make all the difference. That's when I started paying closer attention. And what I found might surprise you too. Last Christmas, something felt different. The tree was lit, the grandkids were laughing, and rocking around the Christmas tree came on just like always. But Grandma Rose didn't get up to dance. That song used to be her moment, twirling in her red sweater, clapping to the beat. This time, she just smiled softly and said, "My legs ain't what they used to be, honey." We let it pass. We all thought it was just age catching up. But later that night, I woke to a sharp cry. It was her. She'd been jolted out of sleep by a terrible leg cramp. I found her gripping the edge of her bed, rubbing her calf, wincing. I'd never seen her in that kind of pain before. And that's when it hit me. Maybe this wasn't just about getting older. That was the moment we started asking deeper questions. We discovered something surprising. Leg cramps in seniors aren't always just aging. Often, they're tied to nutrition, especially a lack of key minerals like potassium, magnesium, and calcium. And as we get older, our bodies don't hold onto these nutrients as well. Grandma Rose's story reminded me of Mr. Joe down the street. Joe, 74, used to walk his old golden retriever, Max, every morning. Rain or shine, you'd see them together at sunrise. Joe with his ball cap and Max wagging his tail. But last fall, Joe suddenly stopped. "I just get this sharp pain in my calf right when I step off the curb," he told me one day at the mailbox. "It stops me in my tracks." Turns out, Joe was low on potassium, the mineral that helps muscles contract and relax properly. And like many older adults, he was also taking diuretics for high blood pressure, which caused him to lose even more potassium through urine. According to the National Institutes of Health, potassium deficiency is common in seniors and can quietly contribute to muscle weakness, cramps, and even heart issues. But the fix can be simple. Just one banana a day can make a difference. So can sweet potatoes, oranges, and even spinach. We brought Joe some bananas and a warm sweet potato casserole that week. A month later, I saw him and Max on the sidewalk again. "Feels good to move," he said with a smile. That's when I realized something important. Small changes can mean everything. Have you noticed someone you love slowing down, skipping their walks, wincing when they get up? Don't ignore it. It might be more than just age. Watch out for these silent signs. Talk with them. Share a meal that helps. Because no one should have to sit out life's little joys, whether it's a morning walk or dancing to a Christmas song they love. If someone you care about is going through something like this, share this story with them. It might be exactly what they need to hear. And if you've seen something like this in your own family, tell me in the comments. Let's talk about it. Last Christmas, Grandma Rose didn't get up to dance when her favorite song, "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree," filled the room. We all paused for a moment, thinking back to the many times she'd twirled around with the grandkids, laughing and clapping along. This time, she simply smiled and said, "My legs ain't what they used to be, honey." We shrugged it off as part of getting older, but later that night, I heard her cry out from her room. A terrible leg cramp had woken her up. I rushed to her side, and there she was, gripping the edge of the bed, struggling with the pain. I realized this wasn't just about aging. It was then that I understood leg cramps might be more than just part of the process. They could be signs of something deeper, like a nutritional imbalance that gets worse as we age. After all, Grandma Rose wasn't the only one dealing with this. Take Mary, for example. Mary, 80, always had a quick wit and a love for her daily routine. She used to joke, "I don't need water, I've got tea." But over the years, something started to change. At night, she'd wake up with excruciating cramps in her legs, sometimes so bad that she couldn't fall back to sleep. She figured it was just restless leg syndrome, but I had a feeling it might be something else. I suggested we take a closer look at what she was drinking. And that's when we discovered the issue: dehydration. Here's what happens. Our bodies rely on fluids and electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, and sodium to keep muscles working properly. As we get older, we naturally drink less water, sometimes without even realizing it. Muscles start to cramp when they're not hydrated enough, and that's exactly what was happening to Mary. The science behind it is simple. Muscles need hydration to function, and as we age, our thirst signals can become less pronounced. So, when Mary wasn't drinking enough water, her muscles suffered. Now, here's a fun fact. Watermelon is an amazing solution. Not only is it packed with water, it's 92% water, to be exact, but it also contains magnesium and potassium. The perfect combo to help keep muscles relaxed. That's a triple win. So, we made sure to add more watermelon to Mary's diet, and over the next few weeks, I noticed a big difference. Her cramps became less frequent, and she even joked about switching from tea to watermelon slices for her liquid refreshment. I realized then that something as simple as a change in diet could make a huge difference in how we feel as we age. If you've noticed your loved one waking up at night with cramps or feeling more dehydrated, it's time to consider their hydration. Make sure they're drinking enough water and maybe add some watermelon to their daily routine. Small changes like this can make all the difference. Have you noticed someone in your life dealing with these kinds of cramps or dehydration? What's their go-to drink? Share it in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going and help each other live better together. If you're watching this and it resonates with you, send this video to someone who could use this information. We all need to be looking out for each other, especially as we get older. Frank, a proud Korean War vet, was always the first to volunteer when something needed fixing around the house. Whether it was the leaky faucet or the broken gate, Frank could handle it all. But one morning, something unexpected happened. He was sitting on his porch steps, preparing to work on the garden, when he just stayed there. "It's like my legs forgot how to move," he said, his voice low, with a hint of frustration. I could see the shock in his eyes. Frank wasn't the type to sit idle. He'd always been active, always busy. After some careful observation, we realized that Frank had been struggling with more than just a tough morning. He'd been battling weakness in his legs for weeks, but had brushed it off. But now, sitting there, unable to climb the steps to his front door, it was clear something was wrong. Frank's doctor explained it wasn't just aging at play. His magnesium levels were dangerously low. Magnesium is crucial for muscle function, and when seniors don't get enough of it, their muscles can weaken, leading to problems like the one Frank was facing. Magnesium deficiency is especially common in older adults who have diabetes or on certain medications. In fact, studies show that magnesium levels can drop significantly as we age, making us more prone to muscle weakness and cramping. I remember the day Frank and I went to the grocery store together, determined to find a solution. We learned that magnesium-rich foods like spinach, nuts, and avocados could help replenish his stores and support his muscles. Seniors typically need about 400 milligrams of magnesium per day, even more if they're active or have certain health conditions. As we loaded up on leafy greens and healthy snacks, I could see a spark of hope in Frank's eyes. We were taking steps to fix what had felt broken. Within a week, Frank started incorporating more spinach into his meals, tossing it into salads, blending it into smoothies, and even adding it to his omelets. Slowly, he began to notice a difference. His legs weren't as weak, and he was able to climb the porch steps without hesitation. It wasn't an instant miracle, but every little improvement felt like a victory. I learned from Frank's experience just how crucial it is to pay attention to the signs our bodies give us, especially as we age. Weakness in the legs isn't just a normal part of getting older. It could be a sign of a deeper issue like magnesium deficiency. But with the right foods, like spinach, we can fight back. Have you or your parents ever experienced sudden leg weakness or fatigue? It's a tough thing to go through, but there's always a way forward. Let me know in the comments if you've noticed something similar in yourself or a loved one. If you found this helpful, share this video with someone who might need this advice. Together, we can keep each other strong, one step at a time. Nancy had always been the heart of her garden. Every summer, she would lose herself among the roses, pulling weeds, planting new flowers, and tending to her beloved garden. But last year, something changed. The vibrant, energetic woman who spent hours under the sun found herself sitting more than she worked. "My legs keep locking up," she said, frustration creeping into her voice. "Even when I'm just squatting down to water the flowers, it's like my legs won't bend right anymore." As she spoke, I could see the pain in her eyes. Nancy wasn't one to slow down. She had always been so active, always moving. So why was this happening? After a visit to the doctor, we learned that Nancy's issue was linked to more than just age. Her muscles were struggling with inflammation. As we get older, our bodies become more prone to conditions like arthritis and poor circulation, both of which can cause painful muscle spasms. But what we didn't know was that inflammation and poor blood flow were key players in Nancy's condition. What could help her? Omega-3 fatty acids. These healthy fats, found in foods like salmon, are known for their ability to reduce inflammation and improve circulation, both of which can help prevent muscle spasms and cramps. The doctor recommended Nancy eat at least 2 servings of fatty fish like salmon every week. She was a bit hesitant at first since she wasn't the biggest fan of fish, but I suggested she try other sources of omega-3s like walnuts or flax seeds. She started slowly, incorporating salmon into her meals and adding a handful of walnuts to her salads. It wasn't long before Nancy began to notice a difference. The cramping and muscle stiffness in her legs lessened, and she was able to get back to her garden slowly but surely. She started spending more time on her knees, tending to her roses again, without the constant fear of her legs locking up. I'll never forget the smile on her face the first time she told me. "I was out there for hours yesterday, didn't even feel a thing." It was like a small victory, but it meant everything. Nancy was back to doing what she loved, and all it took was a small change in her diet. As we age, it's so easy to assume that our bodies are simply breaking down, but many of the issues we face, like muscle cramps and spasms, can often be traced back to something as simple as inflammation and poor circulation. So if you've noticed your legs feeling stiff or painful after being active, consider adding more omega-3s to your diet. Do you notice any discomfort in your legs after being active for a while? Have you tried incorporating omega-3 rich foods into your meals? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you think this story could help someone you know, share this video. Together, we can all keep moving forward, one step at a time. Uncle Bobby had always been a night owl. He loved the quiet of the late hours, watching TV, reading, or simply enjoying the stillness of the house. But lately, his nights have been interrupted by something much less peaceful: leg cramps. I'll be sound asleep, and then suddenly, it feels like a Charlie horse grabs hold of my leg and won't let go, he explained one morning, rubbing his calf with a grimace. It's like being woken up in the worst way. Uncle Bobby wasn't the type to complain often, but these cramps were taking a toll. They seemed to strike out of nowhere, usually in the middle of the night. He'd toss and turn, trying to find relief, but nothing worked. And it was affecting his sleep, his energy, his whole quality of life. I started to wonder if there was something more behind these cramps. After all, Uncle Bobby had always been the kind of person who didn't take care of his health the way he should. For years, he'd cut back on dairy because of his stomach issues, but now I was wondering if that was part of the problem. It turns out I wasn't wrong. Studies show that as we age, our bodies can become deficient in calcium, a vital mineral for muscle function and contraction. Calcium helps muscles relax after contraction, and without it, those cramps can become more frequent and more painful. Since Uncle Bobby had been avoiding dairy, he was missing out on one of the best sources of calcium. The good news? There's an easy solution. Greek yogurt, a powerhouse of calcium and protein, could help replenish what his body was lacking. Not only does it provide calcium for healthy muscle function, but the protein in Greek yogurt also helps repair muscles and prevent further spasms. I suggested Uncle Bobby try adding a serving of Greek yogurt to his nightly routine. He was a bit skeptical at first, especially about the taste, but I reminded him that he could choose a low-sugar version or even go for plant-based alternatives with added calcium. A few weeks later, Uncle Bobby came to me with a grin. He said, "I've been having yogurt every night like you said, and the cramps have almost completely stopped. I'm sleeping through the night again." It was like a light bulb went off. A simple change to his diet, adding calcium-rich Greek yogurt, had made a world of difference. He was back to his old self, enjoying his late nights without being interrupted by painful cramps. If you've been struggling with leg cramps or poor sleep, it might be worth considering whether you're getting enough calcium in your diet. Have you noticed a drop in the amount of dairy or calcium-rich foods you've been eating lately? If this story resonates with you, or if you think it could help someone you know, please share it. And don't forget to drop a comment about your own experience with leg cramps. We all can learn from each other. Remember Grandma Rose from the beginning of the story? The one who couldn't get up to dance at Christmas anymore. Not even when her favorite song, "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree," came on. It wasn't just her legs feeling stiff. She had been struggling with constant leg cramps that kept her awake at night, and the pain was only getting worse. One afternoon, I finally convinced her to visit the doctor. After a few tests, the results were clear. Grandma's magnesium and potassium levels were both too low. No wonder her legs had been giving her so much trouble. I was surprised, but I also felt relieved. At least we knew what was causing her pain. Her doctor suggested something simple, adding beans to her diet. Black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, all packed with magnesium and potassium. These nutrients help regulate muscle function and prevent cramps, especially as we get older. When we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing and maintaining these minerals, which can lead to muscle fatigue and spasms. Grandma Rose wasn't sold on the idea at first. She always preferred simple meals, and the thought of adding beans to her diet seemed like a big change. But after hearing the doctor explain it, she was willing to give a try. "I might not be dancing again anytime soon," she told me, "but at least if I sleep through the night without waking up in pain, that's a win." We started incorporating beans into her meals. She loved black beans in her soup and kidney beans in her salads. And the changes didn't take long to show. Within a couple of weeks, Grandma reported that her leg cramps were happening less frequently. Most nights, she was able to sleep soundly. The best part? She could even stand up without feeling like her legs were locked in place. It turns out the power of beans was more than just a simple food swap. Studies show that magnesium and potassium are crucial for muscle health, and beans are a great, natural source of both. Magnesium helps muscles relax after contraction, while potassium helps with muscle contraction itself. Adding these nutrients back into Grandma's diet helped to prevent the painful cramps that had been stealing her sleep and her joy. Now, while she may not be twirling around the living room anymore, she's at least pain-free. She doesn't mind the quiet evenings at home, knowing that she can rest without interruption. Grandma says she still doesn't dance much, but at least she sleeps through the night, and that's enough. Have you or someone you love struggled with leg cramps or muscle fatigue? Maybe a simple addition like beans could help. It worked for Grandma Rose. Leave a comment if you think beans could help someone in your life, or if you've already seen the benefits of a nutrient-rich diet. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes a small change can make a big difference. Leg cramps aren't just a part of aging. They're a sign that your body is asking for help. For many, like Grandma Rose, they could be a quiet signal that something needs attention, and often the fix starts in the kitchen. If you've watched this video and found yourself nodding, you're not alone. Just adding one of these 6 foods to your next meal could make a difference. Whether it's bananas to help with potassium, watermelon for hydration, or beans for magnesium, small changes can lead to big improvements. Remember, it's not just about feeling better today. It's about preventing future discomfort. Studies show that staying active, even with just a 10-minute walk every day, can reduce the risk of muscle loss by 20% as we age. It's simple, but it's powerful. If you or someone you love has been silently dealing with leg cramps, please share this video. It might be the nudge they need to make a change. Talk to your doctor about checking your magnesium, potassium, and calcium levels, because sometimes the answer is as simple as a nutrient-rich meal. Don't forget to subscribe to Senior Health Secrets for more real stories and life-saving tips. Have you or a loved one struggled with leg cramps? Share your story in the comments. It could help someone else.